If you were a Bulls fan and looking at Saturday night's game against the Heat, it's probably one of those deals where you're saying, I don't want to face the Heat when the Bulls are so depleted. There's no DeMar. There's no half of the damn roster, basically. And you were looking for any reason for positivity, any reason for hope at all that the Bulls could potentially go down to Miami and win this game. Well, you did get some good news heading into this matchup Saturday night, because Alex Caruso was going to be back in the starting lineup for Chicago after missing a couple of games with the leg injury. He was going to be back. Certainly timely for him to return to the lineup, because he makes a difference on both sides of the floor. And, as morbid as this sounds, there's more good news had come up, because the Heat were already going to be without Bam Adebayo, no Jimmy Butler, no Markieff Morris. So while you're missing DeMar DeRozan and several other pieces from your bench, the reality is the Bulls were taking on a Heat team without 3 contributors, 2 all-stars. The Heat were without their 2 best players in Jimmy and Adebayo. So when you think about the timing, while the timing's not that ideal for the Bulls to be so depleted and taking on a contender like the Heat, at least they're catching the Heat at less than full strength. Now, I know there is going to be a number of Bulls fans. I started seeing it last night. All the crying and pissing and moaning and bitching about the Bulls having to play games right now. Why should they be forced to play any games right now? And that is exactly the type of mediocre mindset I would expect from Chicago fans. The bottom line is this. Do the Heat get to stop playing games because they don't have Jimmy Butler or Bam Adebayo? Do other teams get to stop playing games because they have several people out of the lineup? Now, if you're trying to sit there and say, well, what about the COVID shit? Well, at this point in time, what the fuck does it matter? I mean, really, guys are vaccinated, they're still getting it. Breakthrough cases. Guys aren't vaccinated, they're not getting it. Or they're getting it. Like, what the fuck does it matter at this point? Yes, the Bulls are without several players, and it gets only worse because then you find out that Derrick Jones Jr. enters the league health and safety protocols. Ayo Dosunmu enters the league health and safety protocols. They just signed Stanley Johnson in part to make up for the number of guys they've got out right now, and he enters the league's health and safety protocols. Jesus Christ. I get it. But let's stop being babies about it. It is still the responsibility of the Chicago Bulls and the players that are there to put their best foot forward and try to figure out a way to win some goddamn games. That's simple. And it's not like this is a team that's totally depleted. You still have Levine. You still have Lonzo Ball. You still have Vucevic. I don't even know if that's a positive at this point or not. But you have, in Levine and Vucevic, former All-Stars. Ball certainly isn't no fucking scrub. That's for goddamn sure. So yes, while the Bulls' depth is depleted, their bench is depleted, they've still got some, in theory, marquee players that are supposed to make a big difference here. So you still have enough to go out there and be competitive and maybe find a way to sneak out a game against a team that, yes, while they may be deeper, are without their 2 best players. And the Bulls flat out didn't get it done. No crying, pissing, and moaning about COVID or any goddamn injuries or any damn thing else. Oh, I can't believe they made him play. Why should the league stop for you? Stop being babies. Horrible. Yeah, this game, like in the first quarter, it seemed really rough because the Heat were en fuego in that entire quarter. They were 15 to 25 for the field. They were 9 of 14 from 3. When you got a team hitting 9 threes in a quarter on you, you know it's not going to go very well. That's the reality. Duncan Robinson had 13 points in the first quarter. Lowry with 9. Lonzo had 9 and Levine had 6 for the Bulls in that first. But the team only shot 8 of 21 from the field in the first. And Miami was up 39 to 25. You already had a feeling at that moment that this might be a kind of long night. Although there was one potential positive there is how sustainable was Miami's torrid shooting from 3. And if they slow down a little bit in terms of their outside shot, the Bulls might be able to claw their way back into this game. And at the beginning of the second quarter, it kind of looked out like that way. Miami started missing a few shots, and the Bulls got into a slightly better offensive rhythm. Their defense was spawning their offense a little bit. So it looked like the Bulls were going to come back and fight in this game, but then he heated up again and ended up being up 65-52 at the half. Duncan Robinson already with 18 points at half for Miami. Dwayne Dedmon, of all damn people, more on that in a moment, with 14, and Tyler Hero with 10. It was one of those nights for Zach LaVine you would have seen from him with the old Bulls teams of the past couple of years. Like, not a great team, so he's going to get to jack up a bunch of shots. And LaVine is one of these fascinating creatures. Like, he had 21 in the first half for the Bulls to lead the way. Lonzo Ball had 12. LaVine is one of those guys that he can make some absolutely spectacular shots. And when he's in rhythm, he's such a fluid, I call him a fluid streak shooter. But when he's hot, man, he's really hot. But damn, he is fucking frustrating. Even when he's shooting well sometimes, because he will just jack up some absolute bullshit. His judgment and decision-making is just atrocious. But then he has another shot where you're like, oh my God, there's very few people in the league that can make it, and he is one of them. The Heat shot 52% from the field in the first half, 56% from three, and then Vucevic doing what he could do, going 1 of 5 from the field in the first half. Going into this game, you needed all three guys, LaVine and Ball and Vucevic, to play well. LaVine was playing really well. Ball was playing pretty well. Vucevic playing like ass cheeks. Dog shit. Again. And we need to have a conversation about that. Because in the second half, it didn't get any better. The Heat were up 86-70 after three. Ended up winning this one easily, comfortably. 118-92. Duncan Robinson with 26 points. Tyler Hero with 17. Kyle Lowry with 16. Dwayne Dedmon had 20 points and 12 rebounds. And as much as I want to give credit to LaVine for putting up 33 in a losing effort, Ball with 15, Nikola Vucevic was 10 points on 3 of 15 shooting. I opined this on Twitter during the game, is that if this was the first time you had ever watched an NBA basketball game, and I told you that Dwayne Dedmon was a former NBA All-Star and Nikola Vucevic was a journeyman role player, you would believe me. That's how much Dedmon owned this damn night. It wasn't even just offensively, clogging the paint, blocking some shots. I mean, he was a monster. He was a force. And Vucevic, again, was dog shit. This dude is shooting 40% from the field and not from three. Your center is shooting 40% from the field for the season. That is dog shit. At what point in time do we look at AK and Eversley and say, this trade didn't fucking work out? As much as we talk about the Bulls needing a front court presence and always envisioned it as some type of athletic stretch four, at what point in time do we talk about they need to rethink this shit with Vucevic, and they might need a damn starting center too? Now you make all the excuses in the world, but we're a damn quarter of the way through the season, aren't we? More than that. Close to a third of the way through the season. He is playing like dog shit. Do not make excuses or justifications. Dog shit. He got owned by fucking Dwayne Dedmon. It got so bad to the point where I said, you might as well put Tony Bradley Jr. in the game. He can't possibly do any worse. And I was right. He was better. And as much as I can question Billy Donovan for some of his decisions and some of his lineup decisions particularly, this comes down to the player. Stop rushing your shit. Slow the hell down. Actually be a damn big man. Because everything he's jacking up, you have absolutely no belief that it's going in. Like whenever LaVine takes a three, unless it's in the last minute or two of a game, you think there's a good chance that this goes in. Lonzo Ball, when he gets his feet set and he's in good rhythm, spotted up outside the arc, you feel like there's a good chance it goes in. When Vucevic gets the ball right now, the only thing you're trying to figure out is how ugly is this going to look and which angle is it going to bounce off the rim or the backboard from. I had tweeted before about how the Bulls eventually are going to have a decision to make with Vucevic. But it's not even that decision anymore. Like, this trade is absolutely not fucking worked out. Don't tell me it has. Because it hasn't. You have a center that is shooting 40% from the field, and at a time where you need him to play big, play like a former All-Star, he's playing like cheeks. Ass cheeks. He got pawned by fucking Dwayne Dedmon. That's one thing if the Bulls lose this game. But to lose this game in this fashion where you've got career role players outplaying your alleged all-star big man? You could have all the players in the world come back in a week or two. It's not changing that fact. It's not changing that problem. And if Vucevic doesn't get his shit together soon, we're going to be having a much different conversation about this year's Chicago Bulls.